The use of sow stalls in pig farming has sparked fierce debate in Tasmania. A few weeks ago, Tasmania became the first state to ban their use. The decision hasn't been welcomed by the pork industry, as Sarah Bester reports.
Neil Atkins has been farming pigs on his property at Exton in northern Tasmania for the past 50 years. In that time, he's become one of Tasmania's biggest pork producers. He credits these stalls for part of that success.
But we've used sow stalls to some extent, for about the last 30 years very successfully. It took solve many of the problems that we were getting before.
After they fall pregnant, Neil Atkins' sows stay in stalls for about 8 weeks. He says pregnant sows can become aggressive, territorial and fight each other, sometimes causing each other serious injuries. He says the stalls help keep his sows safe. He says the stalls also reduce the risk of sows losing their young.
But for the first 4 or 5 weeks of pregnancy, the sow is prone to lose her pigs, when she's subjected to any stress, and so you lose the pregnancy. Sow stalls mean that at least we can feed the sows well and protect them from other sows, knocking them about.
After 5 decades of building his business, Neil Atkins says he's been dealt what he says is the biggest blow in his farming life. He says the Tasmanian government's decision to ban the use of sow stalls by 2017 will force him to choose between overhauling half a century of farming practices or go out of business altogether.
After 50 years deciding to go out of pigs totally, we could decide to go on, in which case we'd have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, which in itself wouldn't worry me as much as the fact that we won't continue to get the performance out of the sows that we've been accustomed to.
It's been 4 weeks since the Primary Industries Minister, Brian Green, surprised both sides of the sow stall debate by accepting a recommendation by the Animal Welfare Advisory Committee, or AWAC, to ban their use in Tasmania. The committee, made up of members from industry and government, was commissioned by the state government last year to look at the issue. It assessed the welfare implications of housing sows in the confined pens against the benefits for producers and decided the stalls should be phased out.
On balance, it was quite clear to the committee that the sow stalls have a very adverse effect compared with the other methods of housing available to them.
It's a move that saw Tasmania leap ahead of a nationally agreed animal welfare industry code, sending shockwaves through the industry.
There's absolutely no logical reason to have different welfare regulations in different states. So now what you have is livestock industries looking at how they're going to withdraw from the process, and that is not going to be good for improving animal welfare standards.
In 2007, farmers reached a national agreement to start reducing the time sows spent in stalls from 2017. The ban in Tasmania means farmers will have to stop using the stalls completely in the same time frame.
Can I sit? That's a good girl.
Emotions are running high on both sides, and none are more aware of the reaction welfare changes can create than animal activist Emma Haswell. Ms Haswell was instrumental in leading the push to ban sow stalls in Tasmania, using vision she provided to Stateline. A day after Brian Green handed down his decision, she received a death threat in the mail.
It has a photograph of a steer in a confined chute crate. His head's in a headlock and somebody's aiming a firearm at him, and there's a whole lot of men standing around laughing. And under that is a fairly lengthy letter basically saying that, Haswell, this is what is going to happen to you.
It's not known who the letter came from, but it was posted in Adelaide. After the ban was announced, Australian Pork Limited, which represents producers nationally, criticised the committee. APL says the committee based its decision on anecdotal evidence and emotion.
We believe that the process has been seriously flawed. Industry has not been given a good opportunity to put its case forward. Evidence has been suppressed. It's been very controlled and quite secretive and not transparent at all, and we're not very happy about the process.
That's not true at all. We've received a large amount of evidence. As I say, we met with their chief policy officer. We viewed video productions which they supply to us. We Saw printed material they provided to us on pig housing schemes.
The industry says the benefits of sow stalls experienced on farms like Neil Atkins are backed by research. Research, they say, was ignored by the committee.
The chairman of the Animal Welfare Advisory Committee claims that there is clear scientific evidence that sows without stalls are better in terms of their own welfare. We would like to see that evidence. It's certainly not the scientific evidence that we have.
Well, sows are highly social animals. So
a key part of the evidence the committee relied on was research by sow stall expert Dr Paul Hemsworth, the same scientist used by the industry to back the use of sow stalls. Dr Hemsworth wouldn't be interviewed, but confirmed his research supports the use of sow stalls in the initial period of a sow's pregnancy, up to about 5 weeks. He also backs the committee's recommendation that alternatives, such as housing stalls in groups in specially designed sheds, can deliver the same benefits. The average size of a sow stall is about 1 metre wide by 2 metres long, only slightly bigger than the average size of a sow, with no room for the animal to turn around. Group housing or eco-sheds house sows in an open pen, with separate areas for eating and toileting. This style of stall is used widely in the UK and Scandinavian countries, where sow stalls are already banned.
It would be possible to modify sow crates into these small pens quite easily, and it does mean a reduction of density of about 20 to 30%. But does provide an opportunity for animals to move rather than being constrained and not being able to move for very long periods of time.
Tasmanian farmers want government help to move away from stalls.
It's a massive change if you've got to gut sheds and rebuild everything inside.
Many Australian pig farms, including those run by Australia's largest pork producer, Riverlea, have already shifted from stalls. Since the ban was announced, the industry now appears to have come to a compromise position. At an industry conference on the Gold Coast last week, Stateline understands a crisis meeting was held to discuss the Tasmanian decision. As a result, it's announced a 5-month review looking at how to deal with the growing demand for welfare-friendly pork. Even without government bans, it seems sow stalls' days are numbered. The market for welfare-friendly meat is stronger than ever.
The demand for welfare-friendly pork, I think, is on the growth side of things. People want to know where product comes from, how it's bred, especially with news that's been in the papers and media generally lately.
Suppliers say the shift to sow-friendly products can't happen fast enough.
Free-range pork is very popular. Everyone wants to buy it. The only problem is that it is much more expensive than normal pork. It's probably about double the price, but I would say that over the coming months and the coming years, as production becomes more efficient, the price will come down and more people will have access to the best product.